think I should be aware of or avoid, such as spinal fusions or
Turn your TV on, let's catch the news. What's happening now? I've got the blues. Ooh, it's not all bright, but we got the light. All right, sprinkling truth with the groove so tight.
This is John Hauser with Beneath the Vines. We're here at the first annual Stop Napa Hate March. This has largely been brought on by the sign guy on Browns Valley. Wonderful small town drama, and today we'll be doing a deep dive to figure out what's at the root of this issue and what's going on beneath the vines. Pilgrims from across the valley had begun to descend on the park. Located at the entrance to Browns Valley, this Westwood Hills locals' expression of opinion has spiraled into a deep-rooted battle of discourseless discourse. My mind raced with the possibilities of today. Would we be confronted by someone who feels like an outsider in their own home? Would they be brandishing shotguns or even assault crossbows? Would teenagers throw Slurpees at us from passing cars? Would I rizz up some Calistoga ladies? Could I mew the whole time? Would I cry? Endless possibilities raced past me as we approached the gathering throng. At the precipice of the event, we were approached by uncertain volunteers, unknowing if we were really about the event or merely observing. Upon agreeing with their fundamentals, we were handed a slip of paper with hopeful lyrics and rules of conduct. I wondered, did anyone present this to the sign guy? Opportunity presented itself to chat with the event organizer and catalyst for the march, Tracy Main, who has single-handedly been battling the sign guy by parking his own U-Haul in front of that guy's house. We will be airing a full-length podcast with Tracy, where we dive into his story and why he's so passionate about this issue. I was able to interview one group of people before the officials announced their proclamations. I'm here with
Matt Davis,
Alessandra, Valentina Twer,
MJ Tueros.
Thank you very much. Some of the Girl Scouts, you're in the Girl Scouts.
I don't think I can join that though.
Tracy began with fiery anecdotes, spurred by personal memoirs from the veterans in his life.
Inside, it was filled with the black and white pictures he took of the concentration camp that he liberated Israel. They are the most horrific images I have ever seen in my life. How does something like this happen? And he looked at me and he said, Tracy, this is what happens when men do nothing. So when a man from Petaluma comes here and puts anti-Semitic flyers all over the temple and the houses next to it, and we do nothing? Well, then 2 months ago, that gives permission for these 6 guys in pickup trucks to put hundreds of hate-filled flyers and baggies on people's lawns all over this entire city. And when on the very first day of the new art walk, right in the middle of downtown, to take a sledgehammer to one of the sculptures and put hateful screed all over the back of it. Do we tolerate hate in Napa? I don't think they heard you in Yountville. Do we tolerate hate in Napa? I'm sorry, they couldn't hear you in St. Helena. Do we tolerate hate in Napa? And I want you to have a conversation about what is going on in our community. And I want you to listen. Because it's only through dialogue with people who don't live in our own echo chambers that we are truly able to fight against hate. So I'm charging you with this. Go to somebody who's got a different political sign, knock on the door, and just say, I'd like to talk to you about what's going on in our community. And that's how we're going to take steps forward, because no matter who is elected on November 5th, we all have to work together to fight hate. California said, we want in on this. Now, unfortunately, Mike Thompson and Bill Dodd couldn't be here.
There's no room for hatred in the 4th Congressional District.
Government workers said similar spiels as they rallied constituents, knowing every vote counted in this razor-close election season. One by one, the proclamations garnered cheers and mumbles of acknowledgement. With heavy eyelids, the throng yearned for Tracy's exuberance when an inspirational pastor came to pass along timeless wisdom.
Bill comes to me and says, I don't know if I can ever forgive them. And I was like, who? And she said, the Jews. And I'm like, well, I think they've all died by now. And it's, what are you talking about? Understand that the Gospel of John in particular, if you don't study what he's talking about, it does have verses which have been used for anti-Semitic things in the Christian tradition. Stand against hate collectively. So please do that.
All right, thank you all for being here today. My name is Bailey Shea. I am Director of LGBTQ Connection Napa and Chair of the Queer Peers Coalition. As many of you know, our local LGBTQ community has borne the weight of some of these candidates.
Once the words had subsided, the crowd was eager to march in opposition of one man's signage. Those clad in yellow vests held the special distinction in ensuring law and order was kept, and no riots erupted during the march.
Live.
Instead of Slurpees, the only things thrown were screams and F-words, the gay kind.
Okay, we're about to begin the march, heading towards the sign guy. Those aren't signs, those are flags. We're good citizens. Brought you out to the event.
So, Vice Mayor of Napa came here as
well, good person.
Vice Mayor Napa, yes.
Spiritual director of the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living here. About 100 people involved and really centered on love.
One decrease or a decrease in kind of the culture of division. And
well, I've seen an increase. It's interesting because Napa has a history of racism.
Right. Jump cut to my face going, ooh.
I think it was just hidden. I think it just came out. But it suddenly has permission to show its face, and it's important to us for it to stand up and say that's not okay here.
Right.
Hey, come on. You know these people. You have friends that represent this, and there's no reason to be like that. And
we're both from Calistoga, but my cousin Carol lives here. And she, even though I live in Calistoga and we haven't really experienced the same level of overt hate, it's under the surface everywhere. So standing up is really important. Small town, you're pretty visible. Everybody knows, like, somebody's in the neighborhood and you don't recognize them. You're people coming from out of town that came, as well as people in town. So people being called out. It's counterculture where if we don't have the ethos as a community and as a nation, that people do make mistakes. They do, when they were 20 years old, have different values, have different life experiences, they evolve. And if we don't say, you can make a mistake and say, whoops, I got that wrong. And now I see the light.
Yeah. Any thoughts on
for you?
John Hauser.
Now, the flyers, particularly at Congregation Beth Shalom, having been distributed and making sure that there's people are aware that that's happening.
One thing I love is the truck down there that says hate is not a Napa value. Because we drive up and down this road multiple times a day, and it's always such a downer to see the hate messages. And now to see something that's standing up against that, I love that.
Positive.
Makes me happy.
Visibility.
Yeah.
Positive. Have you noticed that the signs affecting you in a negative way? The change.
Absolutely, they make me feel sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I even went to an event. This was in Sonoma, at a synagogue in Sonoma, and I noticed this was over a year ago even, and the sheriff was there. I'm like, what's the sheriff doing? The sheriff's always there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And on what's going on with the truck and the signage.
It's annoying. I get it. He has the right to say what he wants to say, but it's incredibly, I think, unneighborly to do it right by a synagogue and right by a church, and so visibly, and have profane language out there for kids. I mean, other than that, I don't really care what he does. Or care.
Okay.
I mean, if that's the way he wants to act in our community, like, I don't really care about him.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well said. You mentioned something about the vocal minority.
Yeah. Napa has a list of resources for several things.
Okay.
Just a good plug for that. But,
of course.
Events like this are great. Meeting your neighbors is always good. Dialogue is great. Yeah. I don't know if people like that want to talk to us or not.
Right. Very true.
But the door's open. Right?
Okay. Awesome. And lastly, where'd you get the hat?
Online.
While their hearts might have been in the supposedly right place, it appeared that most of these marchers were not daily observers of the signs. Digging ever deeper beneath the vines, I searched for locals who were out here in the trenches regarding these sign conflicts.
We gotta find some locals. We are a local, those were locals, but now we need to find locals.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't drive by it every single day. It's working, right?
Yeah.
The intended effect of parking a U-Haul in front of somebody's house to block a sign works.
Yeah.
Hasta ahorita no he mirado nada. Yo aquí, yo trato de venir y respetar a todos y yo no puedes caminar normal porque yo quiero.
Oh, ya no ser panzón. Sí, yo también necesito caminar más.
Bueno, que tengan un bonito día.
Gracias, igualmente.
Nos vemos.
Awesome, that was good. Test. Testing.
Yeah,
okay. All right, we just talked to a local that lives at the apartments nearby where the sign drama is unfolding. He said you'd come out and answer some questions, but it's been like 5 minutes. I think he might have thought we were weird, and then he just left. Very valid.
Very few Browns Valley locals were willing to express their opinions on camera. Were our tactics too bold? Was my mustache too curly? Is the false equivocation between hate crime and the First Amendment striking a profound nerve within the community and country? I don't know. One thing was certain, I was tense. If only there was a local business that could relieve this tension.
Everyone wants health and wellness, and the opposite of health and wellness is hate.
The community knows that there are healers. There's a lot of pushback in the healing community. Classically, massage therapy has been a female-driven profession. As well as a neuromuscular facilitator.
Can I do a massage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every comfortable?
Striking the delicate balance between standing up against hate and shutting down political discourse is an incredibly difficult line to navigate, more so with amplified emotions and voices. I think back to Tracy, who encouraged us to genuinely talk with our neighbors in order to build stronger bonds and see if opposing views can yield a beneficial synthesis. I also think back to the lady from Calistoga who emphasized forgiveness and talked at length with me about the damage cancel culture has done to our community through increased polarization. By communicating empathetically with an open mind and heart, I hope that we can better tackle some of the fundamental issues that plague our great county. Issues which often have been left purposefully vague to kick the can even further down the proverbial road to the next generations. Personally, if any lessons at all were learned today, I can't join the Girl Scouts. I don't know what Mike Thompson does. I'm not the Vice Mayor of Napa. And the sheriff is always there.
Stay tuned for our later investigation beneath the vines as we dive deep, next finding the Rebop Menace. Some people are there for the free massages. Hey, shout out the free massages though.